Well, I love the energy in the room this morning already. So let's call our meeting to order this morning. If I could have a roll call, please.
Member Cahill?
Here.
Member Garcia?
Here.
Member Evans?
Here, but I'm by Zoom.
Member LaPlante? Here. Member Covert? Here. And Chair Rutledge?
Here. Next, I need a motion to allow Member Evans to join our committee meeting this morning.
moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, Lucy. Hope you're feeling better. Let's see. Next on our agenda will be Chairwoman's remarks. The April Civic Awareness event on plastics that the League of Women Voters put on was a spectacular event. And the one thing that I did mention at a county board last week, but the one thing I forgot to mention is the first night of that event, we, I think, had about 100 people there, and there were really no faces that I recognized. And that was, to me, impactful. So thank you to the League of Women Voters for a great event. And then the Friday morning event that we did, we had a lot of discussion at the tables, and it was really a well thought out and good event. So thank you for them. The sign recycling event, Joy, what did we end up with for the signs?
Pretty much about, I would say, 27 cubic yards. So we filled one 30 yards.
Awesome, good. So that, and we will do that after every election cycle to make sure that those don't end up in a landfill. The last thing I wanted to talk about that's not on the agenda this morning is some of you or most of you should be aware of my efforts to get the single trash hauler contract going in the unincorporated areas. And we will have a presentation next week at County Board looking for consensus to move forward on that. So Aptamar Consultants will be giving us that presentation. So if anybody has any questions, I'd probably rather hear them now than at the County Board, at least in my environmental committee. And I hope that you all can support that effort. Just to recap, some of our unincorporated areas have 4 or 5 trash days a week that have cans lined up on their road, 6 companies that service them. And from an environmental impact, I think that that's ridiculous. So I think that we should do that. Cindy.
I just wanted to say that I will not be in attendance next week, but I do support moving forward with this initiative.
Thank you, appreciate that. Next, if we have public comment, and I believe we do. Sadia, we shift down the public comment sign up, please. Or let us know who's on.
There are. Okay, I'll let you announce that.
Okay, I'll be really quick. I spent the last 4 weeks mostly talking about partnerships, trying to build partnerships and collaboration. But I did go to Earth Day in Naperville last Sunday, which was fantastic. I think I converted 50 households over to amber lighting and shielded lighting. Going to be a growing green next Saturday with Scarce, and hopefully accomplish the same thing. I wanted to let you guys know about a study that Adler Planetarium and Ken Walczak had done on Indianapolis. It's kind of driving how I prioritize my time. It was for Indianapolis, and it's on their light pollution, residential light pollution based on area. Residents have 36% of the area, and they contribute about 13% of the pollution. Commercial entities have 28% of the land area, and they contribute about 54%. Institutions and streetlights, the city itself, about 15% of the land, about 20% of the land. So that's how I try to divide my time. What's going to be most impactful, what's going to have the biggest effect. And that's why I'm trying to build the partnerships to be able to approach things in that order. The more faces you can get in front of, the people with the largest base of residential component, whether it's a cultural institution in Chicago, they'll help us expand faster. The way I'm doing it at 400 a visit is a little bit slower than I'd like. So if you have any questions, I'm around. But when you look at the ordinances, it's all about new construction. And then when you're looking at trying to protect new construction, it's all about what's going to be the impact of the commercial development, what's going to be the impact of the subdivisions. That's how I do it. So,
commentary out there today. Appreciate that. Next is Kay McKean from Scares.
Hi, everybody. So Sheila, thanks for coming to the recertification Earth Flag ceremony for Edison Middle School. That was really nice.
That
Those
was
kids,
exciting. That was
Wasn't
pretty
it?
fun. A lot of energy in that room.
and that 3 girls volunteered to play. What was that instrument?
Oh, French horn? No.
Small tubas.
Euphonium?
Euphonium, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I couldn't get that word to come to my brain.
God, I'm here for.
Thank goodness, yes.
Thank you, Lynn.
So 3 girls volunteered to play the euphonium and they played Simple Gifts. It was absolutely one of my favorite Earth Flag ceremonies. And then we got to go outside and yeah, it was great weather and so forth. So thank you for doing that. Yes, we were at the Naperville Earth Day event as well, 470 people. So that was really good. But we're working with Dark Skies also to have an exhibit at Scarce, so that when the kids come and people come to learn about energy conservation, so we're working on an exhibit that will be on our wall, right, Dave?
Right.
Yeah, those partnerships are really good. So we've had 9 recycling extravaganzas. 7 of them have been in terrible weather. Sleet, rain, wind, snow, cold. So we're hoping for some good weather. This weekend it's in Itasca, and then there's Addison Township. So that's kind of cool. Yes, it's our garden market coming up. So this has been an incredibly busy month, you guys. So I want to thank you for anybody who had time to come and hear some of the students' presentations for their models. They did an extraordinary job. Extraordinary job. And this year, I don't know if I'm paying attention more or whatever, but the kids, with so much energy, I think the kids are so excited to be able to do something as a community again and be out and about. And work together with, other students and see other students' models. I think it was one of my favorite events. They did an extraordinary job. And the 3rd question on their lead project is light pollution. Yeah, so that's on their thing. So you guys, thanks for anybody who had time to do that. It was a very busy day that day, but it was a really great event for the kids. And the judges did just a spectacular job with these kids and the teachers. So thank you.
And thank you, Kay, for hosting the elected officials event at Scarce. That was a lovely time that, and your, who provided the goodies was good stuff.
Well, it was 0 waste. We're working
Yeah,
really hard. So we
yeah.
had 0 waste for that. We had 0 waste for the design challenge. We're working really hard to push that out. Jacqueline, who'll be here from Go Green Glen Ellen, we did a 0 waste for her, celebration of tables. The more people see the dishes and see that they look nice and can plan ahead, that will be the big savings for people and for the environment.
Thanks again, Kay. Next is Mary Lee. Come on up here so that the Zoomers can see you.
Basically, I, just as a community resident and grateful that the county is now collecting the signs after the election. And in addition to that, I don't know what the final step, what those signs are, but if there was a way to maybe join with local beekeepers to utilize those for their housing. So kind of make the process, a final step in doing that. I think it's a great place to put it, but then also take it to the next level. So thank you for doing that. And just a suggestion.
I will contact my contact at Lakeshore Recycling about that. All righty, thank you. Next, I'll ask I'll move on approval of minutes. 23-1668, the Environmental Committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, April 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I move on ENR 0016-23, the Memorandum of Understanding between the County of DuPage and Midwest Renewable Energy Association to provide a solar group buy program at no cost to the
Second.
county. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, I'll move on 231669, the 2022 Solid Waste and Recycling Annual Report. I'm sorry, presentation. Good.
Yes, good morning. Joe's working on getting that one up.
I don't have presentation. I don't believe one was sent to us. It's not in our committee folder.
Friday, so, okay, no worries. We'll get through it and I will share this with the committee afterwards. Okay, so today we are presenting our 22 solid waste and recycling annual report. Some of the highlights are on the national level, California and Colorado passed packaging bills, extended producer responsibility bills. And on the federal level, you also saw a significant investment from the US into recycling, in recycling education grants, as well as the recycling infrastructure grant. On the state level, we saw a bit of a hump when the Ohio facility had the fire, and so we didn't collect household hazardous waste or some components of household hazardous waste for several months. And then contamination is still a priority on the state level. Communication and outreach, we did publish the two, a battery video and then the wish cycling videos. And that is still a priority for our DuPage communities, is communication and outreach. As far as our metrics for our website, we were at 15,000, a little over 15,000 that visited our online recycling guide, and 30,200 that visited our electronics recycling page. So we are getting a lot of visits to our website. Yeah. And then special collections, 15 of the DuPage communities held recycling events. There were 15, this committee funded 15, or partially funded 15 document shredding events throughout DuPage. We did do a tire recycling event with the Illinois EPA and Division of Transportation, where we collected over 1,000 tires. The RX program that the health department runs had 5,656 pounds that they collected. That is less than the previous years, just because it was restricted because of the,
Joey, can we catch up to the correct
the
page?
Ohio. Oh, thanks, Joe. Sorry.
Nope, it's okay. What page are you?
I am on, sorry, I'm flying through this. I'm on 6. So there's our communication. Okay, yep, there we go. All right, so RX box was 5,600 pounds. You see the regional household hazardous waste facility in Naperville collected more than 46,000 gallons. And 3 of our DuPage communities do offer an at-your-door service for household hazardous waste. I believe 2 of those are fee-based and 1 is part of their regular monthly bill. Electronics, we collected 1.2 million pounds. We had over 18,000 attendees.
Who are the communities that are doing the at your door?
Oh, yeah, you're gonna ask me that.
Never mind. Go on.
Lombard, Lyle. I don't remember the third one.
Okay,
I will get back to you.
interesting.
This is always a fun slide. So this is the data. So we survey all of the DuPage communities, how many pounds recycling, or how many tons recycling, how many tons waste, and then we do the calculation and come up with that community's recycling rate. It varies, but we do have an average of 32%. And we did have an increase in the food scrap collected in DuPage County. We went from 11 communities to 16, so a huge jump in 2022. Next slide. Okay,
Oh,
so
there's that gray line.
I
again.
know, I knew you were gonna say that.
That gray line.
So we are on target. US EPA is, nationwide 32% as of 2018. So we are on target as far as the nation is going. But I will note that the national goal is increasing to 50% by 2030, which is right around the corner. And you can see we don't move a lot. That gray line is pretty stagnant.
I'm gonna move that gray line. That is my goal.
But I did put in the lower left-hand corner some things to note that we've been talking with the waste haulers about. These numbers are based on weight, not volume. So what took them 1,000 plastic bottles to get to a certain weight before is now taking them 3,000 plastic bottles to get to that same weight. Yeah, so we're trying to come up, is there a better way to do this calculation? Is there a more accurate, but it's, you in a MRF, are you really going to count 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4? So we're trying to be creative to see how to better capture that number. So I just did want to flag that. I know it's.
Well, it's good, less plastic, so that's the plus, but not getting a good number, that's.
Yeah, so we're really trying to wrap our heads around it collectively as a region, actually as a state, like what's a better way to do that calculation. So, and that sums up the annual report for 2022. Are there any thoughts, questions, comments?
Anybody? Nobody? Doing a good job. Thank you so much, Joy, for the presentation. Appreciate that. And then would you also like to talk about the Grow Geo Chicagoland program?
Yes, so we are very excited. We are working with CUB, the Citizens Utility Board, as well as the Midwest Renewable Energy Association on a geothermal group buy. They have gone out and found geothermal vendors in the area, multiple vendors, and they will be working with them to do first the education piece. That's the priority of CUB, is to educate folks on geothermal, the benefits, the environmental benefits of geothermal. And then simultaneously, they are offering this, it's a group buy, so it is a discounted geothermal unit for residents. So we're going to be kicking that off with them June 5th. I will get you the details. It'll be an evening webinar, and a geothermal installer will be part of that so that residents have direct access to ask those specific questions.
Geothermal, pretty cool stuff. We have a couple, I think Wheaton Academy has geothermal that they heat and cool their building, and I actually had a connection to an old building out in Melbourne that there was no way to upgrade the heating and cooling, but they had a lovely field next door, and that's how they chose to do that too.
Thank you, Chair. So I don't know much about group buys, and so does this only benefit unincorporated residents or everybody in DuPage County? And I'm assuming the group buy for geothermal is similar to the one for solar group.
It is very, very similar. The group buy is open to anyone in DuPage, actually anyone in the region. We're participating, Lake County's participating, Cook County, Will County, Kane County. So anyone in the region can attend the webinars, anyone can get that discount. And they traditionally have honored it to some of those other counties that might not be participating. They may, depending on where their numbers are, they might allow somebody outside.
So the benefit to any resident is just that discount. It's not necessarily that they have to go through the county to purchase or anything like that, correct?
Correct. It's a less expensive way to get to you.
We get our fingers on it through permitting process, though, so, well, for the unincorporated. So, Patty.
Question. We had geothermal for a car wash in Naperville, which was really interesting, that whole process coming before us and stuff and how it worked. The question is, are we focusing more on commercial, which typically has a higher impact on the environment versus residential, or are we just anybody, it doesn't really matter? Or are we focusing on residential versus
This
commercial?
is focused on residential, but I will get back to you on that because I know with the solar program, they did also allow small businesses to participate in the solar.
Yeah, because I know that we looked at it from where's the biggest impact, right? So even for solar, schools, municipal buildings, things like that. So that was really the focus. And then transition, now obviously residential is doing a lot of it. But potentially that could be something that ignites it. Both of these, geothermal and solar, going through.
I would think at least in the municipalities, it would be tough to do geothermal because you need a pretty good patch of earth in
Well,
order
I
to do
could
that.
get you the address where they did it, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't as big as you thought it should
Okay,
be.
good.
So I was
Technology
I was
advances.
amazed.
Yeah, there actually are vertical units now.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So that's why Cook County was able to participate
more you
because they
know.
do have those vertical units for the more impactful
Cool.
developments.
Watch on June.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, any old business? Yes, Ina.
So I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it earlier when we were talking about the sign recycling event, but I actually had two constituents ask me why the sign recycling event had been like 2-3 weeks after the election. And I think it's because a lot of people just toss out their signs. They just don't want it around. And they don't want to wait the 2-3 weeks in order to recycle their signs. And you know, people offer to pick up signs and all the other stuff. So I think people are just wondering if it's possible to move the sign recycling event to the weekend right after the election.
Well, we pushed it out because the election wasn't certified. So that takes 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I think losers may need a little wound licking time or to decide whether they're going to keep those signs or not. So that's the reason that we gave it a couple of weeks before we were, I mean, maybe we look at doing it immediately after they certify the election. So,
And so we do have to schedule it, with facilities as well.
Yeah.
Right.
This time we overlapped the sheriff's, the food, the senior.
yeah, that was,
Food distribution as well, and we're trying our best to get them to give us some dates so that we aren't
doesn't
overlapping.
happen
So
again.
there's that as well.
thanks for asking. And yeah, that's the reason that we kind of gave everybody, because, it's grueling and to just be able to say, oh, I don't want to look at those anymore. Give them a little time to be able to wrap their head back around looking at signs again. So any other questions? Any new business? Seeing none, our motion carries, and without objection, we're adjourned.